Who has named you? Is it your parents? Or is it that which is aware of your parents? Who is allowing a name to be relevant? Who is allowing an idea to continue? Man, because he is changing and he's an evolving biological being, will always have problems. So don't stress yourself too much. But the awareness to this biological being smiles with a transcendent glow. You see, just like how there were people 1,000 years ago, dervishes who whirled an ecstatic dance to dissolve into ecstatic states of being, so too are ideas for the poet. Spinning beyond the wheels of time and space. When you pay attention to where the voice of man begins, it begins in consciousness. And when you become aware of consciousness, it's as if you are aware of locality and you are in a location, but there is something that also knows that because it's here, it has also a greater implication. This greater implication is not just the beautiful urge to evolve, but it is the freedom that knows itself so well that reality listened to its voice. You must become aware of the experiencer and do not seek a mastery of the physical form as if you're playing games in a sandbox. You are here to engage your life, get every memory out that's significant, and become the most significant aspect of your moment. When you're around people, put in the effort. Do not think that you have to hide yourself. Do not think that you have to try to be something else. No, you are here to communicate the authenticity of the natural expression that you are. When did mankind become artificial? That's ridiculous. For in the most joyous moments in our communities, there is no need for pain, for we are all human beings who are aware of death. And in knowing that we are all going through this sense of acknowledging our temporal reality, we can't find the compassion. We have to control. It seems that just because time has allowed man enough time to work and, let's say, try to become some kind of millionaire, you will see it is not about the game. It is about the awareness beyond all games. What that means is when they told you grow up, it meant you are seeking the greatest realization that is the peak of your absolute experience. Who dulled this down? Who turned the volume down of this party? You know, I'm pretty sure the party's going on. We're alive. Human consciousness has a profound ability to change itself and become a greater emanation. For your spark was an instant of knowing through a formless observance untouchable by idea or ideology. Names are choices because choices come out of the individuality that names have created for us. Think of that moment where language hadn't developed. Direct experience was no longer on the subtle, but as it was developing, because man noticed himself in the river, man noticed himself in the mirror, that first human being who went and looked at himself in the pond, individuality is how manifestation has come to be in your moment of experience. But your moment of experience is transcendent. And if you observe it, if you go in nature, sit still and silent in a deep self-contemplative manner and understand that you're doing this for your sincerity, because why else would a normal human being need to go sit on the grass? The reason you need to go is because you are going there to observe yourself. You are going there if your whole day you've been associating with communication and sound and noise, for a second going in and movement, for a second going into stillness and silence and just being and realizing that your polarity, the spectrum is not so fixed. Don't think you know yourself. You will not know yourself, because a man transcends the idea and is the greatest experience of the idea. What that means, our greatest leaders have always led us through the omniscience of their greatest observance. They knew, and that knowing expressed into action. Not you looked externally or went and sought a self-help book or something to fix yourself, You're not fixing anything. You are, in a sense, unleashing the titans of your deepest ideas on reality and just standing there, basking in this flame and realizing that you are untouched, like the great beings of the past. For Guru Padmasambhava, this being stood in the fire of condemnation. He stood there and he was being punished by the king, and he simply sat in the fire, and the fire turned into ashes, and he was untouched. And he stood up from his meditation, and the king no longer had a crown. No longer was a man being executed, but reality had spoken back. The nature of this world observes, and through its sincerity and compassion, it has brought manifestation into the view that you are now. Do not disappoint now by not being aware of your totality. You must be inspired by everything. There is no enemy. The enemy is part of your world. Your world is part of your moment. Your moment is here. And through the blessings of the innocence of the being who has just become conscious now, bask in the life that you are, for you are life before this life can see itself. You are alive before you can even get a conscious idea you're alive. Become aware of it. Know yourself. For the voice of man is temporal. But this spark will light up all creation. With the simultaneous being of the Creator's experience. And how I would like to categorize it, let's assume you're just a human being born right now to hear this talk. You see, some people acknowledge this world and they look at it and they see this intelligence and they assume it is empty. They say that we are alive and out there it's complete emptiness. And there are people who see that out there is emptiness, but they are saying, because I am alive, there is also a life, And so we find the dance of scriptures and science textbooks. But in actuality, my beloved being, it is up to you to be aware of who you are. And your choice is based on your experience, and your experience must come to the sincerity and honesty of who you naturally are without having to do a thing. What that means is that moment where you're sitting very gracefully and in a very sense of meditative position. Language becomes a part of the background of that is this whole world. And all meaning comes into your choice in regards to how you want to extrapolate it out of this external projection of a view. What that means is this free will, its origin is in how it is even receiving meaning. This sense of individuality that man has must be preserved, and it must be realized and used as a catalyst. For the brightness of the truth of where man is can be captured in this quote that the sages said a long time ago. To be in the world, but not of it. You are observing the object of observance, and you know you are beyond it, for you are observing it. And similarly, in regards to how you're aware of thought now, through a certain amount of, let's say, meditative practice, and if your intentions and intuitively, if it's your time, you will begin to see that you will begin being pulled to a point where your attention to language and ideology will become more sensitive, but it will also be to your world, because you're becoming interested in the life of your world. And regardless of the choice, man is still alive, and this life has great meaning, and this meaning must be created, but at the same time, we must see that when we have picked great flowers for a lover, we must let them go, for we have brought it. For the beauty of this world. I would like to share a very interesting quote by a man named Hafiz. And Hafiz, he says, the words you speak become the house you live in. What that means is the names and the ideas that you choose to make into playgrounds of conception for yourself and try to think that you're in this happy-go world, be very alert and be very mindful that you're here to directly experience things. And you must not be afraid to live. And you must not be afraid to die. You must break fear with an instant of knowing who you are beyond limiting conceptualization. For the drop is not just in the ocean. The whole ocean is in the drop. You are not just an idea in nowhere. The minute you are an individuality that can envision a better world, you are its access. It has been granted. And perhaps, you know, they were right how back in the day they said a wise man once said nothing. Because it would lead to an awareness beyond no thing. Spun into manifestation, the whirling spiral has always turned to itself, turned to itself. I would like to share some mantras and some sounds also for the pilot consciousness. For the pilots of consciousness. Başlıyorsunuz namaste.